Hi, I'm Cynthia Falco from HTTV, and I'm delighted to be here today with Chief Eric Evers and Deputy Chief Don Nelson to talk about the new firehouse that's being planned. Before we talk about the firehouse, I want to acknowledge, we've just come through a tough time with COVID, and to acknowledge that we have been vaccinated, so we don't need to use our masks today. But how has that been a challenge for both of you in this last year?
Well, first of all, I appreciate your coming here today in the fire department. Always an opportunity to talk about what we do in the fire service and how the Citizens of Summit's tax dollars go to our organization. So we appreciate the time. So COVID was a difficult time. I mean, it's obviously something different. We've never seen it before. And we were used to going to flu used to be a big issue years back, but now with COVID, a little different mindset of how we deal with it. So it has impacted as far as operationally. We had to do some different things operationally wise to deal with COVID, but in the fire service, we train for events like this. I mean, if it be COVID, there's always something out there that is dangerous to our responders. If it be fire, police, EMS. So we do train regularly. We call them natural man-made events. All right, so we try to predict as many as we can. A pandemic is something we don't usually do, but we do have some background how to deal with that. So, so what it was a bit more operationally as far as taking the extra precautions going out to people who had COVID. But the biggest part of it, I think, is more of the mental aspect on responders. It was a constant wear and tear on the mental part of what we do. So that's something we really take seriously and look at. But we've all been vaccinated. That's a good thing. So hopefully there's better roads down the road, better lights on the road as far as this pandemic getting control of it. So looking good.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. And I'm interested in what called each of you to be a firefighter, and how long ago was that?
Oh, thanks. Get the old guy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I started.
He's been here longer than
when did I start? I started in June of 1986, so I'm going on 34 years. My best friend's father was a fireman here in Summit, and I always used to see the stuff that he did. And what's unique about the fire service is every day is different. It's not the same thing every day. It could be, when you're on the line. Not that I'm not on the line anymore, but when I was on the line. You could have a car lockout, you could have a fire, you could have a motor vehicle accident. Every call is different. What motivated me to be a fireman is that I live in Summit. I grew up in Summit. So what better opportunity than to work for the town that I grew up in? I'm a mile from my house. I know a lot of people. So and career-wise, I mean, it's a great career. It's I don't feel like I work. I hate to say that, but they say if you do something you like, it doesn't feel like work, and that's exactly what this is. It's just, 34 years later, here I am. So there's got to be something about that, right? Either that or I'm dumb. One of the two. Who knows? But no, it's a lot of fun. So that's what motivated me. I saw my friend's father, and he enjoyed it, and he had fun, and he always talked about the things that he did, and that kind of enticed me to come try it out as a volunteer. So that's why I'm still here.
Very good.
I think for me, it was, I always liked helping people. We're supposed to help thy neighbor and, be good neighbors to everybody. So, and I've always done that. And an old battalion chief, John Mullen, I grew up with his family, and I've known him since I was little. He just one day asked me to come up and become a volunteer fireman. Never had any desire to do it.
Okay.
And he came up, and he convinced me to come up. I started talking to the guy, and I just immediately just fell in love with the family atmosphere of the fire service. A lot of deep tradition. We live, sleep, eat here 24/7. Every day of the year. And it is something I naturally love to do. And also helping out people. It just really put the caveat to everything. So.
Well, it sounds like you.
Yeah. And then the challenge of it, it's very. You need to have a lot of problem-solving capabilities, a lot of hands-on. Anything in the fire service we do, somebody is here to any problem you can have. To somebody here who is going to do it. Electrical work, carpentry work, anything that you can possibly think of. There's somebody here with some kind of talent, and this kind of fit right into my background. So I just fell in love with the job. So
you left the key
like
thing
Don
out.
said,
You left the key thing out.
What's that?
Firehouse lawyers.
Exactly. We did have one of those too. So, but like Don said, it's something you love to do. It's not about the money. It's something you love to do. It doesn't feel like work. You can't wait to come to work every day. You love coming to work. Sometimes you don't want to leave, but you have to leave to freshen up. But it's a great profession. So.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you each found your calling, and what I'm hearing
Hope so.
also is the brotherhood.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we do. It is a dangerous job. Things change very quickly in the fire service without notice.
Yeah.
And you need to have 100% trust in the person you're with, no matter who it is. Any firefighter you're with, will tell you the same thing. It all comes to trust, knowing that when situations arise at a split-second notice, your training, your instincts, and your love for the job kick in, and you trust the guy you're with.
That's right.
And that's the
That's
key thing, I
absolutely
think, to
right.
any job you do, but in our job especially, with things happen so fast.
Yeah, it's life and
And
death.
without warning, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you always think it's never going to happen to you, but it does. We're all human. We're all in the same. We're all in the same boat. And one day, you have to make sure that we're the people citizens look to solve their problems.
Yes.
We have to make sure that we are trained and properly ready for anything that's thrown at us. So. And we take great pride in that.
Being prepared all the time.
Yeah.
Like the chief was saying with the pandemic, we're always planning ahead. So we had PPE. We didn't have
Okay.
enough, but we had enough to get
Yes.
us through until we could find more. But
Wow.
we always look. We're in the business of what if. What if this happens? What if that happens? And not that we walk around paranoid all the time, but we plan for those events and we train for it, and we get ourselves prepared for that. And preparation is one of our key elements of this job. So you have to be prepared, whether it's going to a fire or a car accident or a pandemic. Obviously having supplies is important. If you can't get them, you can't get them. But that's what we do. That's what we do. That's how we work.
And that's sometimes when you're most vulnerable. We call them low frequency. They call them low frequency events, low frequency, high risk events. So the things that we don't do every day are the things that we have to train for the most. So we don't get
Yes.
enough practice out. We don't do it that much. So those are the events that we really train for the most. Are the things that we don't do every day. So, and this is one of them. The pandemic. That's not something we do in our. It's probably once in a career thing that comes up. So we'll have to make sure that we're prepared for it. So.
Yes. Now, speaking of being prepared, I understand that firefighting has changed a lot over the last 50 years, say. So how does fighting fires, say, 50 years ago compare to what's required today?
Well, I mean, let's just take the gear, for example. It used to be rubber coats and rubber boots.
Oh, wow.
Now it's leather boots and Nomex turnout gear or fire jackets. The old guys used to wear rubber jackets. You know what happens to
Wow.
rubber when it hits fire? It melts. Even these uniforms we're wearing right now. Years ago, you could wear anything. Now, if you're a career guy, you have to wear special station wear, so that it doesn't burn. So those are just some things right off the top of our head. But apparatus has changed. You can see our new engine behind us. It's evolved from horse and buggy. Obviously 50 years ago they didn't have horses, but it's just evolved a lot. Training has evolved a lot because cars are changing. Think about
right.
cars 50 years ago. They were didn't have a lot of options in them. Now they have airbags. There might be battery operated, things like that. Those are all things that we have to be aware of that have changed since I've been on the job. We actually have a book that's put out by a company that describes almost every car made.
Wow.
And it talks about where to cut, where not to cut, where the airbags are, where the airbags aren't. Is it battery operated? What cables to cut? What cables not to cut? Those are all things that have changed. The chief will talk about legacy rooms and the way furniture was made in the way 50 years ago compared to the way it is now. So, Chief, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So obviously operational-wise, the change, but also the nature of the side we live in today. Almost everything in your homes now is synthetic, man-made. It's not naturally made. The wood, your tables, you'll have a nice veneer wood surface, but in the core of that is man-made materials and a lot of chemicals, a lot of cancer-causing agents that are in that. And so the biggest threat to firemen now is their health and how fires burn. So you're probably seeing a video that shows you a legacy room and a modern room. So NIOSH did a study years ago, and they took a room that was built pre-1980 and a room that was built modern, and they had furniture in it. And they light fires in a room at the exact same time. And you'll find that the legacy room, about the 20-25 minute mark, you'll see the whole room fully get engulfed in fire. We call that the flashover stage, where everything in that room ignites at one time. You go to the other side of the video, you'll see a room, modern room, it's 4 or 6 minute mark, you'll see that the room completely gets engulfed in fire. That's because chemicals and materials nowadays are so much more flammable because of the chemicals that are in them. They burn hotter, they burn faster, and a lot more volatile than they were years ago. It also emits a lot more smoke than old fires from years ago. So our firemen usually had 20 minutes by the time the call came in, to get dressed, to get on the rig, to go to the call, to find the fire, put water on it. You had that 20 minute mark, which was a pretty good good. Now it's like 4 to 6 minutes.
Wow.
So the firemen getting introduced or showing up on scene where bad things happen very quickly in these fires, because there's so much more chemicals that are in fires than years ago. That's probably the biggest threat we have.
And that's why we stress, people are probably tired of hearing about smoke detectors, but that's really the first line of protection in your house.
More so
because,
than ever.
because of what's happening. A lot of the materials now are petroleum based. That's why you see this thick black smoke. And you only have 4 or 6 minutes to get out of the house.
Yeah.
And if your smoke detectors aren't working, that really, smoke detectors are very inexpensive, considering the damage that can happen to you personally if you get killed or burned. So make sure your smoke detectors work. That 4 to 6 minutes is extremely important. We're probably arriving on scene within that time, because our average response is about 4 to 6 minutes.
Okay.
So if you're out of the house, that makes our job a heck of a lot easier. So make sure your smoke detectors work, just for us, please, and more importantly for your family. But the way things have changed in the last 50 years, it's just, the time I've been here, I've seen a lot of changes, and we see that in fires nowadays, where you pull up on these fires and they're going. So.
Yes, and what does that mean for your uniforms that you use to fight fires when you're in the midst of all these burning chemicals nowadays?
Yeah, so turnout gear had to evolve, like the deputy chief said, for years, but because everything burns so much hotter, like our turnout gear, it burns. We're not Superman. We can't go into buildings, and just the heat alone, your body can't take anything over 100-something degrees. So you're talking 800 to 1,000 degrees above that in a room. It's very quickly, it becomes inhabitable. But our new gear, it does take a lot more heat than our older gear. But it's gone through a big change. It used to be very, very heavy because of the material in it. Now it's getting lighter. But so that's just the fact that the gear lets you get involved into a building more with your turnout gear. Makes us do a little more easier job, but conditions turn so quickly from cold to hot. That's why our gear is so important to us. So,
and also, our gear does absorb those toxins.
Yeah.
So when we come back, everybody has 2 sets.
Okay.
So when the guys come back, they wash the set that they were using for that call or that fire, and then they have a spare set that they use so they can continue to respond. But we wash gear. If they should wash it at least once a month, but also after every fire, because of all the toxins we encounter. And then, and they off gas, the turnout gear off gases.
Yeah.
So what that means is whatever toxins are in the materials, if we go to another call and it gets hot, it'll actually off gas, and then we'll be inhaling those toxins. That's why we wear those SCBAs, 99% of the time we wear SCBAs.
Yeah.
If there's any type of heat or smoke involved, so we don't breathe those toxins, but it does get into our gear. And right now we have, storage for our gear is not the best in this firehouse, but we guys do wash the gear after every fire. It's mandated.
Okay, and so at the new firehouse, are there facilities to handle the off-gassing and things? Like, what are some of the benefits and advantages of the new firehouse that we're all looking forward to?
Yeah, that's a good segue, because that's the biggest, that's the big topic now. We've been, our new firehouse is the biggest exciting talk about the fire department right now.
Yes.
So it's been about a 5-year work in progress. As far as designing it, it's been probably 10 years looking at it. Past chiefs have looked at, looking down the road, what do we need to sustain ourselves in a fire service. And this building was the original building built in 1902. It had a couple additions in the early 40s and then the late 60s, but pretty much it hasn't been touched since the late 60s. So we've outgrown it.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm surprised this fire truck can even fit in this building.
Yeah, it's tight. Yeah, it's very tight. So more industry standard firehouses are a lot bigger, higher ceilings, wider bays, bigger doors. A lot of them are off the street more, so we avoid hazards with the street. Right now we're on Broad Street. If we pull the engines out, we're sticking into Broad Street. It creates a hazard for our firemen, for the traffic, for pedestrians, have to walk around them.
Yeah.
So it's just not a good layout for a fire building. But one of the biggest benefits to our new building is the decontamination part of it. So we talk about how bad fires are with all the chemicals. So there's called hot zones. There's dedicated hot zones in our new firehouse. So the bay we're in today would be a hot zone. Any room off this bay is a hot zone. And those rooms are completely sealed off from the rest of the building. They're sealed, there's different mechanicals, different ventilation units, so nothing can go throughout the building. We only have one fire station in Summit. So other than doing the operational part of all the vehicles, we also have administration people that are here. We have the firemen live here, 24 hours a day.
Right.
So we have living quarters. All that has to be separated from the hot zones where we have the trucks, the turnout gear, all the bad stuff that comes back to the building, and that's completely separate. But we have a whole separate area for our turnout gear, so when the firemen come back from fires, there's a little layout where they go into one room, they decon their gear, they put it aside, they can take a shower, they can clean up, and they go to a different part of the decon room, they put on new clothing and have the second set of gear. So
Okay.
that's really a big safety component of the firehouse.
Yes,
So.
that's very big.
Yeah.
And what about the training and practice facilities at the
Yeah,
new
so-
firehouse as compared to this firehouse?
Yeah, right now, currently in our firehouse now that we have a training house mock-up in the backyard. You know, obviously very small scale, but we use it
Yeah.
for training. We use it for confined space training. We use it for SCBA or air bottle training. We use it for hose stretch training. We also use the building for different evolutions. So what we've done with the new firehouse is we've incorporated, I believe it's the south wall of the firehouse, one that faces Broad.
Yeah, and it's kind of
Broad Street
throughout the
side.
building, too.
But it's
Yeah.
mostly, you know,
Yeah.
we hope the plan is to have a streetscape with windows and things like that, so we can practice rappelling, bailout training for when there's, I know I'm using fire department lingo here, but we all carry safety ropes, and if we have to bail ourselves or go out of a window, we hook onto the windowsill and lower ourselves out, so we're going to have that training built into the building.
Nice.
We're also going to have confined space training built into the building. There's a bunch of things we can do in that building that we can't do here because we don't have the room. So the new building will help us immensely.
It also enables us, we spend, everyday firemen work here, we train every day. Either be sitting up in the training room, looking at PowerPoints and videos, or case studies from fires that happened weeks ago. We always learn from that. And every time we do that, it's also hands-on training. So every day a fireman's on duty, they're training. So one of the big benefits about the new firehouse is that currently when guys who train, we're limited in this building what we can train. We have to send firemen off campus or out of
Okay.
town to do training. We took a lot of time in this new building to have a lot of those features built into the building. So any big building, there's a lot of void spaces that you don't use, a lot of basements, areas between the ceilings you don't see. They're wasted space. But in our new building, we took advantage of all those void spaces and turned them into training props. So a lot of times, there's a lot of things that we can't train in this building, we're going to have those features in our new firehouse. So
Very
it
good.
also saved us a lot of money in utilizing every little square foot of that building for something in the building. So it's going to save us a lot of cost in sending guys off site to train. We can do it in our building. There's a lot of opportunity for that as well. So it's a big benefit.
For sure.
Having something right there in your home to train on versus going somewhere else. So that's another
Yes.
added benefit that we added to the new firehouse.
Yes.
Something as silly as checking the oil. In this apparatus, the cab tilts.
Oh,
I mean, there are ways to do it without tilting the cab to check the oil, but if you have to get in there to do any kind of maintenance, we have to pull out on the front ramp, tilt the cab. So if it's snowing,
Yes.
raining, windy,
Cold.
whatever the case may be, we have to do all that outside.
Ah.
We can't do it inside. In the new building, we'll have that capability to tilt the cab and do whatever vehicle maintenance or repairs we have to do, we can do it inside.
that's very
It's,
nice.
You know, it's kind of, you know, it's like not having a garage at home when you want to change your oil. Where do you do it? In the garage, in a driveway, right? So one of my biggest fears is that when we pull the apparatus out on the front ramp, somebody walks by on a Sunday afternoon after church and
Right.
gets hit by a car.
Yes.
I mean, just because we don't have that ramp room. So that'll be a big plus. That's not the only benefit, but it's one of them.
I have to say, it's amazing after hearing the difference between the two firehouses. It's amazing you've lasted here so long, that you've been able to adapt. I mean, you took me on a tour last week and showed me the many places that you train in this building, and
Yeah.
you can see that they're kind of improvised. And so,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
it's an old building.
it's wonderful to have everything self-contained, where you don't have to rely on outside sources, and
Sure.
everything's in-house. It's so conducive to keeping
Yeah.
everything.
Well, you
like-
hit the
yeah.
key word, adapt. That's what the fire service
Yeah.
does. It adapts
Yes.
very
And
well.
this is our home. Guy, we live here. Personnel live here. So it's a lot of the what keeps this building going for so long is that the work the firemen do every day here. So we have carpenter, we have electrician, we have plumbers, we have all kinds of talent in this building, and we're able to fix little minor things to keep stuff going. So and the city has been also very great on keeping this building going. As far as when it comes for any kind of capital improvements, they've always been the luxury of giving us whatever we needed to keep this building operating. But at this time, it's not efficient anymore.
Sure, I
to
can,
operate on it. That's one.
yes,
of the
it's
things.
easy to see that.
So-
And what will happen to this building?
So the city owns this building.
Okay.
And there is a project going on in Summit for quite some time now called the Broad Street West Redevelopment Project. All right, say that 3 times quick. But so what that is, the city years back deemed this part of town in dire need for redevelopment. Right,
Okay,
the
yeah.
Firehouse sits kind of ground zero of that project. So this building would eventually be sold to a developer to fit the needs of whatever the Broad US redevelopment project, the goals are, the
Okay.
initiatives we'll have for Summit. So this will be sold, and that'll also offset some costs for our new building.
Perfect.
So we have the budget for a new building. So we spent a lot of time in designing it to try to meet that budget, and so we'll have some offsetting costs as well. So
Great.
we also spent a lot of time with our new building and coming up with a lot of efficiency in our building. Right? So we have a lot of areas of the building with a lot of natural lighting. We had less lighting inside the building. So a lot of design features went into sustainability for the power, electrical grids, all kind of stuff, is to make the building more energy efficient than our
Okay.
current building. So.
Wonderful. And I'm curious, what does it take to become a fireman? Like, what kind of training do you need? What program do you go through? How many guys you're able to retain from that training? Like, what does it look like for a rookie?
Sure. Well, the training that the career, well, let's start at the very beginning.
Okay.
In order to become a career member in Summit, you have to be a volunteer.
Okay.
We hire from our volunteers. We're called it's a chief's test, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
Yep.
There's an organization that develops a test. But anyway, we hire from our volunteer ranks. So when we get a new volunteer, we send them to Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2.
Okay.
Which is basic firefighting. Teach them how to drag hoses, how to use the SCBA, how to don their turnout gear, how to wear their helmets, all that firefighter safety. Teaches them how fire burns, what the elements of a fire are. Teaches them from the science of fire all the way up to dragging a hose line into a building, establishing a water supply from the fire hydrants on each corner that everybody hits with their car and knocks over. That's
Yes.
really their target. So it teaches them everything that they need to know from A to Z to be a fireman. Or firefighter, I should say.
Okay.
Then they're a volunteer here, and then they come. They learn the theory at the fire academy. Then they come here to the fire department, and they learn the Summit way. I'm not
Okay.
saying Summit's doing it the right way or the wrong way. They learn our way, and they learn everything from the guys here. That they're usually assigned to a mentor, a senior firefighter that walks them through the Summit process. As time goes on, they have a 1-year probation. When they finish that, they're a full-fledged volunteer. They can do everything except drive. We don't allow them to drive apparatus, but they can drive the smaller vehicles, the pickup truck, things like that, but they can't drive the fire apparatus. And then they have to wait for somebody to retire. And
Okay.
that's usually the holdup. Because like a guy like me who's been here for 34 years doesn't leave, so there's no openings.
Sure.
But then when somebody retires, we have a test, written test. We have a physical test. And depending on how their score is, they come out 1, 2, or 3. And then we hire from that list.
Okay.
And then when they get on, we review it. When they get on as a career guy, we review everything again. We go over the basics again. Like I just finished developing a book for one of our newer career members. I updated it from years ago. So we go over it again with them. And then they're a full-fledged firefighter. And then from that, a career firefighter. And then from that point on, they're eligible for promotion in 5 or 6 years, or when somebody retires and there's an opening to move up, they take another test, and so on, and then you work your way up to chief.
Okay.
That's the condensed version.
Okay.
But right now, we have a list of about, my last count was 16 people waiting to become a volunteer.
Wow.
Yeah, so we
That's
have
wonderful.
Yeah.
we have 6 in line right now. 2 are in the fire academy. 4 are waiting on physicals. So we have
Okay.
6 in the process. And then right now we have about 8 active volunteers. So we're trying to get our numbers back up to that 15, 16 number for volunteers. So we have a good pool to choose
Yeah.
from when we need a firefighter for the career side.
Very good.
Does that make sense?
Yes. And I'm curious about this gorgeous new fire truck. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, this is our newest addition to our engines. We have 4 engines. This is a Ferraro fire truck.
Okay.
It's built out in
How's
yeah,
that?
but it's a steady pumper. It carries 750 gallons of water.
Okay.
Has over 3,000 feet of hose on it. And this
Wow.
is part of the vehicle that if you have a fire, this pulls up in front of your home and this pumps all the water to put a fire out. So,
Okay.
it is a brand new, it's a 2001 model. And this one we actually leased. Typically, we buy fire trucks at a capital. This one we leased for 10 years.
Okay.
Save the taxpayer a lot of money as far as capital expenses go. So,
Sure.
it's a good way to try to figure out how to get the best value for your dollar. So.
Yeah, we're hope to have it in service very short.
Yeah.
Once we get some-
Excellent.
you know,
Excellent.
The supply chain for getting equipment has been kind of disrupted based on, the coronavirus and things
Yes,
like that.
everything
so-
is delayed
Yeah,
and
in
more
fact,
expensive.
we have a computer screen that goes in the front, and I've been calling the guy, and he's been out sick for the last couple of weeks, so everything's falling behind, so hopefully we'll
Yeah.
get there real soon.
Chief Evers, tell us about the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation, if you would, please.
Great, yeah. Yeah, so the National Fallen Fire Foundation was established to honor all firefighters who were killed in line of duty. And it also is a support network for their families, their children. They have scholarships for them. It's based at the National Fire Academy, which is located in Emmitsburg, Maryland.
Okay.
Summit has a special place in heart for that because we send the team to every year in October. The foundation honors all the firemen that were killed in the previous year.
Okay.
They all come down to Emmitsburg, Maryland. They pay for their families' travel to come there. And we honor them with a very big memorial service in October. Thousands of people attend it. Fire departments from all over the country come.
Yes.
And Summit, actually, for the last 15 years, has sent a team of 5 firefighters down there to help run the event. So
Ah.
the event's on a Sunday. We get there like Tuesday or Wednesday, and we do everything on campus to help the event run smoothly. So we set
Beautiful.
chairs up, we do tents, we do anything that's needed to get the families there. So they're a very, very good organization. They do raise a lot of money throughout the year. So www.firehero.org is their website. You can log on
Okay.
to that, and you look at all the programs they do. But it's really a good support network for firemen who gave the ultimate sacrifice on protecting the citizen in the community that he's sworn to protect. And once
Yeah.
they died line of duty, it's a great network for them. They also have a very big survivor network. So past families who have lost loved ones, there's a big network of survivors that come back every year to the event to help out with the event as well. So it's a really good support organization for firefighters and their families and their children down the road. So.
That's beautiful, and I'm sure anybody can contribute to that.
Yep, so I encourage you to look it up again. It's www.firehero.org. That's the website. And you can go on the website and click on the link. There's all kinds of ways to support. There's a lot of events throughout the year that they sponsor, so it's a good way to get involved in that organization.
Great. This has been absolutely wonderful. I
you.
thank you both.
Great.
I see, I was telling Deputy Chief last week, I see 6 different segments coming out of this.
Well,
There's
more.
so much to learn.
So,
So much to learn.
Good,
We
good.
very much look forward to the new firehouse, and
Yeah.
we'll be sure to visit and
Thank you.
highlight everything about it.
we appreciate you taking the time to
Yeah,
come.
thanks for
Oh,
coming out.
it's my
today.
great pleasure. It's my privilege. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.